about mindfulness when I was about 17 in a stressful situation, going through year 11 and 12 exams, trying to get anxiety and stress under control. I started with listening to a track that helped ground me and put me in a better mindset. It also helped me be more in the moment and be more in control of my emotions and how I reacted to things. From there, I used it throughout my life sporadically over the last 6 or 7 years. And then it ramped up a little bit more when I became a teacher, as we all know, it's a very high stress job. And I decided to start practicing that to help reduce my stress levels and help me be present and a better teacher in the classroom. I also found that it was something that I could use with the children. So I started with a resource called Go Noodle. And from there, just kind of started playing with things to see what my students needed. I use mindfulness in my practice on a daily basis. It could be more than once a day if my students need it, because I feel that it helps them regulate their emotions. It helps them be more focused, more in the moment, and more in control of how they're feeling and obviously their behaviors and reactions. I find that the regular practice of mindfulness, especially in that afternoon session, helps get more out of the students throughout the day and finish that day off rather than wasting that last hour and a bit in the afternoon, especially working with small children. Their attention spans are quite small, and by the end of the day they're exhausted. So mindfulness really helps my students reset and get ready for more learning, center themselves, forget what's happened at lunchtime and move on with their learning. In 2 different schools so far in my career, and I found different benefits in both schools with using mindfulness. I started with a K-2 class, so children from 3 to 4 years old to 7 to 8 years old. So tailoring a mindfulness program for them that worked was challenging. I used a lot of visual aids, so Go Noodle was a great one for me, as it was a visual practice you could use on the smartboard. It would blow up a balloon and they could see it blowing up and they could compress their balloon, and that was their breathing exercise. I've also used Smiling Mind. That's an audio app that you use for students, and that talks them through. It's a guided meditation, so I've used that as well. The other one that I love to use is Cosmic Kids Yoga. That's more of an active mindfulness. So if they are sleepy and kind of dragging their heels a bit in the afternoon, they prefer to do the yoga. Get up and get moving. It moves their body, gets the blood going, and gets their mind going. If they're hyped up and just can't focus, then I find a guided meditation where they're lying down and they're listening to somebody, or the Go Noodle one where it's that visual, they're just compressing and it's a lot about the breath. The same with that mindful drawing. I've tried mindful drawing now a couple of times, and I've seen amazing benefits from that as well. So for example, we did mindful drawing the other day, and a student, so I said to them that they could choose a color that represented how they felt that morning, and they needed to be very mindful in how they move the pen around their board. You know, if they're feeling frazzled, maybe it's a lot of squiggles, and if they're feeling sad, maybe it's a slow wavy marks. If they're feeling upset, perhaps it's harsher marks and dots and things like that. And I had a student who chose red, yellow and orange. In the first 5 or 10 minutes, she was just really hard on the paper, pressing those textures really hard, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I noticed by about the 10-minute mark, she changed colors. She'd actually turned her paper over, and it's almost like rainbows, and there was purples and greens, and her strokes were more calm and mindful. And she actually had a better morning that morning, whereas other mornings when she comes in from home life, we don't know what always happens in our students' lives before they get to us, and she can be quite off task and frazzled, and a lot of behavior issues. So it was really great to see that strategy in particular worked for her. It worked for a lot of the children in my class as well, but for her in particular, who struggles first thing in the morning to get in the mood for school and be ready to learn. So it absolutely, once you try it, and I saw benefits in my students as soon as I used it. So the first time we used it, I think it was the Go Noodle. We did a breathing exercise. They were really ratty and really over the top that morning. We did this Go Noodle breathing exercise and they were calm and they sat for a bit longer than they usually would in the classroom while we're sitting on the mat reading a story or getting ready for our morning. So I decided to play with it with different times of day that it would be better for them, whether it was first up in the morning or after a break or before we went into a break, or that middle, breaking up that middle session, especially for younger students. That middle session can be quite long. I found that they could reset and refocus and get ready for that last part of the session. So why wouldn't you use it? As teachers, we're stressed, we're under the pump. There's so much for us to teach and so much for us to do. We need to support their well-being and social emotional development. Mindfulness gives us that opportunity to do that. It also helps you center yourself as a teacher. You can sit there with them and do that mindful practice and reset yourself and be ready and be a better teacher. Get more teaching done. Enjoy learning with your students. I can't recommend it enough. My current practice at the moment with mindfulness is I'm trying to implement more mindful drawing. And I like to start the day with mindful drawing rather than end the day with it. I find it's more purposeful. And as I said before, I had kids that really reset and it really helped them start their day. So why wouldn't you want to do things like that? The other one I do is we always come in after second break and do some sort of mindful practice, whether it's the Smiling Mind app, laying there and meditating. Lights are off, fans are on. They find their own space, hands are on their bellies and their chest to feel their breathing, and they just listen to the guided meditation for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how long your class will sit for. My class are used to it now. We've been doing it for 2 terms. This is now our 3rd. So they know what to expect and they know how long it lasts and things like that. So they're more able to do that and sit for that 10 minutes now. But you start from wherever you need to start. You don't have to start from a 10-minute one. You can start with a simple breathing exercise or a 2-minute meditation. You start wherever your kids need. Sometimes my children will ask for cosmic yoga. That's been quite popular the last week, actually. We come in and that's what they want. I have picked a couple of days where that's probably not the best option for them. They are really hyped up and really over the top, so the yoga can be too exciting for them, especially the cosmic kids, because it tells a story and they usually know most of the stories as well. So sometimes I'll gauge it whether they need, maybe they do need, they're dragging their heels a bit and they really just want to move and enjoy the yoga, which is fine. So I'm happy to support that. But sometimes they just really need to lie down, recenter, reset, and get ready for the next part of our learning journey. So that's what mindfulness looks like in my classroom at the moment as a practicing teacher. If you'd like to hear more teachers, not just me, I've also interviewed some teachers and colleagues of mine who have used mindfulness. One who has used mindfulness in the past 3 years, another who's used mindfulness for over 20 years. So if you'd like to find out more about what it looks like, what we recommend, and what other teachers say, click the link below and find out more.